I woke up to the sound of tires crunching slowly over gravel outside our house. It was 3:17 a.m. I remember the exact time because I stared at the glowing numbers on my alarm clock, trying to convince myself I was imagining things. No one ever came to our house that late. At first, I thought it was just a neighbor turning around in our driveway again. It had happened before. Then I heard the car door close, soft and careful, not like someone who belonged there. My heart started pounding as I slipped out of bed and tiptoed to the hallway because I couldn't see the car from my window. The house was dark and quiet except for the faint light from the kitchen night lamp. I was about to go back to my room when I heard my mother's voice. "You shouldn't be here." I froze. There was something in her tone I had never heard before. Not anger, not fear, but regret. I moved closer to the staircase and slowly lowered myself down until I could see into the living room. A man was standing near the fireplace, tall, familiar. My breath caught in my throat. "Dad?" I whispered. My mother turned sharply. "Go back to bed, now!" But I couldn't move, because my father was supposed to be dead. He had died 4 years ago in what my mom called a boating accident during a business trip. I never saw a body, never saw a funeral. She said it was handled privately, and now he was standing in our living room like nothing had happened. "Ashley," he said softly, looking up at me. "You've grown." My vision blurred. "You're alive." He gave me a sad smile. "I always was." My mother stepped between us. "This isn't how we planned it." "Planned it?" I felt dizzy. "You told me he drowned," I said, my voice shaking. She didn't answer. "I had to disappear," he said, and that was the beginning of everything unraveling. We sat at the kitchen table like strangers. No one knew where to look. My father kept his hands folded tightly together like he was trying to hold himself in place. "There were people after me," he said finally. "Not just competitors. Dangerous people." He used to run a cybersecurity company. I remembered the late nights, the secretive phone calls. But I was only 11 when he vanished. "They thought I was going to expose them," he continued, "and they were right." My mother let out a sharp breath. "You don't get to make this noble." He looked at her. "I did it to protect you both." "You left us," she shot back. "I was told if I contacted either of you, you'd be targeted." Silence swallowed the room. I felt like I was watching two versions of my childhood fight each other. "So, why are you back?" I asked. His eyes shifted to me, and for a second, I saw something close to fear. "Because someone found me," he said, and we all glanced at each other. The next few days felt unreal. He stayed in a motel across town, but he came by often. My mother argued with him in hushed voices behind closed doors. I caught fragments of conversations. "They're watching my every move. I don't know what else to do." He whispered, "You promised you'd stay away." "It's not safe anymore, for either of us. I came to you because I had no other option. I need you to come with me," he said, with fear in his voice. I didn't know who to believe. Part of me wanted to hug him and never let go. Another part of me hated him for every birthday he missed. Then, something happened that changed everything. I came home early from school one afternoon because I wasn't feeling well. The house was quiet. My mom's car was in the driveway, but the front door was slightly open, and that never happened. I stepped inside carefully. "Mom?" I called, but there was no answer. I walked into the living room and stopped cold. Drawers were pulled out, papers scattered everywhere. The couch cushions were on the floor. Someone had been searching for something. My hands started shaking as I reached for my phone. Before I could dial, I heard footsteps upstairs. Heavy footsteps. I backed toward the door slowly, my heart hammering in my ears. And then, my father appeared at the top of the stairs. "Ashley?" he called. Relief flooded me. "Dad!" He hurried down. "Are you okay?" "What happened?" I asked. He looked around the room and his jaw tightened. "They're escalating. Where's Mom?" He hesitated just long enough for panic to crawl up my spine. "She went to meet someone." "Who?" But didn't answer. Instead, he had the look of regret and frustration in his eyes. That night, my mom didn't come home. Her phone went straight to voicemail. My father paced the kitchen like a caged animal. I had never seen him like that. Controlled but furious. We couldn't sleep, hoping Mom will call or come home. Around midnight, a black SUV pulled into our driveway. My father grabbed my arm. "Stay behind me." The front door burst open before we could reach it. Two men in dark jackets stepped inside. Behind them was my mother. But she wasn't tied up. She wasn't scared. She walked in calmly. One of the men spoke. "We just need him." Everything inside me froze. "What is going on?" I screamed. My mom didn't look at me at first. She looked at him. "You told her you were the hero?" she asked. He stepped backward. "Don't do this. You lied to her for years," she said. "You lied to all of us." I felt like the air had been sucked out of my lungs. "What is she talking about?" I whispered. My mother finally looked at me. "There were dangerous people," she said. "But he wasn't exposing them." She paused. "He was working with them." My ears rang. "That's not true," he snapped. She pulled a small folder from her bag and handed it to one of the men. "Financial transfers, offshore accounts. He staged his own death because his partners turned on him." I shook my head. No, he wouldn't." He looked at me desperately. "Ashley, you know me." Did I? Or did I just know the version he wanted me to see? The men moved toward him. He didn't fight back. As they led him outside, he looked over his shoulder at me. "I did it for us," he said. But I didn't know what it even was anymore. After the cars disappeared, the house felt hollow. I turned to my mother. "You knew," I said. Tears filled her eyes. "I suspected. When he first vanished, I started digging and I found things that didn't make sense." "So you told me he drowned?" She nodded slowly. "I thought it would be easier than explaining that your father chose money over us." My chest hurt. For years I had mourned him. Then I had forgiven him. And now I didn't even know who he was. "Are they going to arrest him?" I asked. She hesitated. "If he's lucky." I sank onto the couch, staring at the mess around me. Everything I believed about my family had shattered twice in 1 week. My mother sat beside me and pulled me into her arms. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I was trying to protect you." I let her hold me, but as I stared at the front door, I couldn't stop thinking about the way he had looked at me when they took him away. Not scared, not angry, almost certain. And somehow, deep down, I had the terrifying feeling that this wasn't the end. It was just the version of the story we were being allowed to see. I couldn't sleep. Not after everything that happened the night my father disappeared and the SUV drove off. My mother sat across from me on the couch, silently drinking tea, her eyes distant. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but something in her silence warned me that asking would get me nothing but carefully measured answers. So I waited. Then I did what I always do when I feel powerless. I investigated. I started small. A quick glance at my father's old study revealed nothing. He'd left in such a hurry that even his personal files were gone. But my intuition told me the truth wasn't in the obvious places. It was hidden, like it always is. The first break came when I checked the street outside our house. The surveillance camera across the corner, one I'd never noticed, had a memory card in a locked box outside the shop. I had a spare key from when I delivered packages for Mom during lockdown. I slipped it in, clicked it open, and there it was. The night my father disappeared, recorded in full. I watched, frozen. The SUV that took him didn't have real license plates. The men? Not federal agents. They moved with a precision that was almost military. But there was no badge, no authority. And the woman with them? My mother. She wasn't being held hostage. She wasn't scared. She was smiling. Something cold ran down my spine. I wanted to close the footage, to deny what I was seeing, but I couldn't. I had to know why. I confronted her. "Mom, the night they took Dad, why were you smiling? Why were you with them?" My voice trembled. She didn't flinch. "Ash, some truths are harder than you think. Some things you weren't meant to see." I felt my anger boiling over. I've been lied to my whole life. Dad, he's alive. He came back after so long, and you let him get taken. Tell me why. Her eyes softened, but not enough to convince me. I wanted to protect you. I wanted him to be safe. But there's more. Things you weren't ready for. I didn't believe her. That night, I started digging deeper. Every email, every bank transfer, every document my father had left behind. And that's when I found it. A folder labeled Ashley, for when the time comes. Inside were hundreds of files, emails, recordings, even bank statements, and at the top, a note in my father's handwriting. Ashley, if you're reading this, it means the people who claimed to be protecting me have found me. They are not who they say they are. Trust no one completely, not even me. I dropped the folder. My chest felt like it was collapsing. Not even you? I whispered to myself. The next morning, I found a message on my phone from an unknown number. If you want the truth about your father, meet me at the old marina tonight, alone. I stared at it for a long time. My mother walked past, humming as if nothing had happened. "Mom, do you know who sent this?" I asked cautiously, not showing her the entire text. She froze, just for a second, then smiled. "Ashley, sometimes adults handle things in ways you can't understand yet." I didn't trust her. I didn't trust anyone, not my father, not my mother. And I had a feeling that whoever sent the message knew that I wouldn't come alone. But I had to. I needed answers. My heart raced. Who would know about my father disappearing and my mother's secrets? Then I remembered Jason, my geeky neighbor. He'd always been quietly watching from a distance, tinkering with gadgets and tracking things I didn't notice. Could it be him? I hesitated, then realized I didn't have a choice. I had to know the truth. At the marina that night, mist curling off the water, I waited. A figure emerged from the shadows, small and familiar. "Jason?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. He smiled faintly. "You're smart. How could you guess that I sent the message? You don't know me well yet, but I've been watching, making sure you stay safe. And now, you need to see this." He held up a flash drive. "Everything about your father, your mother, what's really going on. It's all here. But once you see it, there's no going back." I took it, hands shaking. Why help me?" Jason looked serious. "Because you need the truth, Ashley, and no one else will give it to you." Every word hit me like a punch. My stomach twisted. Later, back at home, I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. What I saw made me freeze. Videos, documents, conversations between my mother and the men who took my father. I clicked the first video, expecting shouting, threats, something chaotic. Instead, I saw my mother sitting at the head of a long conference table, not as a hostage, not as a victim, but as the one in charge. The same men who had dragged my father out of our house were also at the table, waiting. One of them spoke. "He's resurfaced." My mother's expression didn't change. "I told you he would eventually. He was never good at staying away." My breath stopped. I exited the video before it finished and opened another file. It was an audio recording dated 4 years ago. My father's voice filled the room. "I'm sorry I have to leave like this, but I can't protect you both. The people I work for are dangerous. I found out what they're really doing and tried to resign. They're going to silence me, but if I'm suddenly dead, they won't come for you. Take care of Ashley. Keep her safe. I'll come back for you. I love you both." The recording ended. Silence swallowed the room. My hands trembled as I opened another document. Internal promotion notice. Effective immediately. Regional Operations Director. Recipient, my mother. Date, 2 weeks after my father's death. The air felt thin. She knew. She knew he wasn't dead. And when he came back, she didn't panic. She prepared. There was one final recording. The night of the arrest. This time the audio was clear. "He broke protocol," one of the men said. Then my mother's voice. "Handle it. Make it look official. No loose ends." Something inside me cracked. She hadn't been protecting him. She had been protecting her position. He hadn't run from criminals. He had run from her world. Questions crashed into me. Did she ever love him? Did she ever love me? If he hadn't come back, would she have hunted him down anyway? My vision blurred as tears filled my eyes. And then a new message popped up on my screen. Ashley, be careful. They are watching. Trust no one, not even the people you think are your allies. I swallowed hard. The next day, I met Jason in secret. He told me how he had been watching closely ever since my father, who my mother had declared dead, suddenly reappeared. He had noticed suspicious arguments, secret meetings, and odd movements, and something about it didn't feel right. I ran a hand through my hair, my chest tightening. Why does everyone around me have to be full of surprises? Jason leaned over my shoulder as we were going through the files on the flash over again. I told you it wasn't just your imagination. She's deeper into this than anyone realized. How did you even get this? I whispered, my eyes scanning the videos. I've been following her movements for weeks, Jason said, voice low. And yes, I bugged her phone. I had to know what she was planning. I couldn't just watch from the sidelines anymore. I stared at him, both grateful and overwhelmed. So, all this time, everything I thought I knew about her, it's all lies? Jason nodded grimly. Exactly. And Ashley, you need to see this in person. All the evidence points to that warehouse near the old docks. That's where she keeps the network organized, where the files, meetings, everything, it's all happening there. I swallowed hard, my pulse racing. The thought of confronting my mother filled me with dread, but the thought of doing nothing was worse. I closed the laptop and packed the flash drive into my bag. Are you sure about this? I asked, voice tight. Jason adjusted his glasses. No turning back now. Once we go in, we either get the proof and expose her, or she notices and we're in real trouble. You ready? I took a deep breath. I don't have a choice. If I want to protect my father and myself, I have to do this. For the first time in my life, I realized that everything I believed about my family was a lie, and the next move was mine. The next few hours were a blur. Jason and I planned our route, memorized the warehouse layout from the security footage he had collected, and synchronized our watches. Every sound outside my apartment felt like a countdown. By midnight, we were crouched in the shadows, the dark silhouette of the warehouse looming ahead. Jason handed me a small flashlight. This is it, he whispered. All the answers are in there. Just don't let her see you coming. I nodded, swallowing my fear. My hand tightened around the bag, my chest aching with adrenaline. For the first time in my life, I realized the full scope of the betrayal around me, and that facing my mother wouldn't just be about uncovering the truth. It would be about survival. We moved silently, shadows among shadows, toward the doors of the warehouse. Inside, the faint hum of computers and whispered voices told me we were stepping into the heart of the secret she had tried to hide for so long. And that's when I understood. Everything was about to change. Jason's voice came quietly through the earpiece. Ashley, she's here. Watch your step. Don't let her know we're onto her. I clenched my fists and peeked around the corner. There she was, my mother, walking into the old warehouse we had discovered from intercepted messages. She looked calm, almost serene, but I knew better. "All the evidence is here," Jason whispered. "We just need to get it before she notices, and if anything goes wrong, I already sent the files to the police." We slipped inside, hearts racing. The warehouse was dark, but I could see crates stacked along the walls, computers humming in corners, and papers scattered on a table. And then I saw it. A folder marked with my father's name. That folder held everything. The proof of my mother's schemes, her network contacts, and, importantly, evidence she had used to frame him. Suddenly, footsteps echoed. I froze. My mother appeared at the end of the aisle, her sharp eyes locking onto mine. "Ashley?" she said softly, almost warmly. "I knew you'd come, though I was hoping you'd stay out of this." I felt a rush of anger and fear, but I forced myself to speak calmly. "I'm done being in your lies. This ends tonight." She laughed, a cold, chilling sound. "You think you've figured it out? You think you can stop me?" Jason stepped forward, holding his laptop. "Ashley, now!" I grabbed the folder and shoved it into my backpack. My mother's eyes narrowed, and in a flash, she lunged. I barely dodged, tripping over a crate, my heart pounding as she lunged again. Jason pulled me behind the crates, but she was fast, too fast. Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. The police we had tipped off earlier were outside, lights flashing and guns drawn. My mother's smirk faltered for the first time. She realized she had underestimated us, underestimated me. "No!" she shouted, trying to escape through the side door, but officers were already blocking the exits. She glared at me one last time, her face a mask of fury and disbelief. "This isn't over, Ashley," she hissed. Her arrest was swift, but the moment I saw her taken away, a strange mix of relief and anger washed over me. The woman I had called Mom for 16 years was finally exposed for what she truly was. I ran to my father as soon as the warehouse was secured. He hugged me tightly, and for the first time, I felt the warmth of a family reunited. Not perfect, but alive. "You were brave, Ashley," he said, his voice trembling. "I don't deserve all this, but you saved us both." I shook my head, tears stinging my eyes. "We saved each other. And Jason helped too." Jason smiled awkwardly, pushing up his glasses. "Someone had to keep an eye on things. You were too busy being the hero." In the following days, the folder revealed everything. The network my mother had been running, the way she had manipulated everyone, and how she had tried to frame my father. With the authorities acting on this evidence, my father was cleared of all charges. My mother, meanwhile, faced serious consequences for her crimes. But even as she was taken away, I knew this wasn't the end. As I stood outside the courthouse, feeling the wind on my face, I realized how much I had changed. I had learned who I could trust, who I couldn't, and that sometimes the people you love the most could be the ones plotting against you. But I had survived. I had fought back, and for the first time, I felt truly in control of my life. I looked at Jason, who had stayed by my side the entire time, and I smiled. "We're not done yet," I said softly. He grinned. "Oh, I know. But whatever comes next, we've got this." Then he leaned in and kissed me, releasing loads of butterflies in my stomach. And for the first time in years, I felt ready to face whatever dark secrets and romance life had in store for me.